hello, and good day, good evening, wherever you may find yourselves, wherever in the world you may find yourselves. This is again Hand of Hope TV, and hopefully you all subscribed. If not, please, the links are there. If you're on Facebook, YouTube, subscribe. And today we bring you an edition of Youth Workshop, and hosted by yourself. My name is KAMUANGA, and we will be talking about how these lockdowns, sorry, because there's been more than one, have impacted the mental health of young people. So I've got two guests with me today. I won't say too much about them. I'll give them a time to introduce themselves. And I will start with Dorcas. Just introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, hi everyone. It's a privilege to be here. My name is DORCAS. I'm 18 years old. And yeah, that's much I can say to you there.
And I've got a cherished colleague of mine. We're colleagues in many aspects of life. So that's all I can say about him. But I've got my brother RABBY. RABBY, please introduce yourself.
My name is RABBY MUSHIYA. I'm from Bolton and a health advisor, and I'm here on the show just to speak.
So that's an advantage because we've got a health advisor amongst us as well. So it's always good to get their point of view, and it's always good to get a first-hand opinion or get first-hand view from expertise. So obviously, as we all know, we're all aware, this is we're in the lockdown again. I think this is the third lockdown in the space of a year, and obviously, lockdown has impacted many people. Obviously, in general, especially in the UK, people taking their lives, especially males. Suicides have skyrocketed again, and obviously, what hurts more as well is that obviously countries like New Zealand, they've already are back out of lockdown. They successfully fought the pandemic, whereas we're still struggling. We're still in the midst of it. People don't know what tomorrow will bring. There's uncertainty. All we see is just statistics and uncertainty. I'll start with you, RABBY. So lockdown. How have you managed to view it? How do you compare maybe? How can you compare the three lockdowns? What's your take on the three lockdowns?
You can look at it in two ways. For the first lockdown, when it happened, it was something new that everybody like, oh my gosh, it's a new thing that we're not used to. Then I think as time went on, I learned to accept. I said to myself, people was complaining, but if you can't win, people complain when you go to work, or I'm working too much. Yeah. Mm-hmm. When you do this, life is going too fast. Then people that we don't have time to ourselves. So the whole lockdown for the whole 9 months is like you've got time to yourself. You've got entire time to yourself. So I feel it was a time just to recharge again as a person. It was a time just to reflect again as a person. And I just feel like we will never ever get the amount of time we've had off in our life ever again. So in another way, it was a blessing in the sky just to get time to pick up on a lot of things, certain things to move in your life, certain things to improve on, just a self-reflection. So I think it's been a blessing as the headache also.
What about you, Dorcas? What's your view? What's your take on things?
Yeah, I feel like, just following up on what RABBY said, I feel like the first lockdown was very shocking for many of us, as in people didn't know how to act, they didn't know what to do, just being trapped in the same place for such a long period of time. It must have been frustrating. It definitely was frustrating for me. But like RABBY said, the benefits of it, was definitely having time for yourself, trying to reflect on yourself, and just to understand what you were doing wrong, and as in terms of like how you can be better, and in this time you have, how you can use it wisely. So I feel like it was definitely time to reflect, time to just have a moment with yourself, to recognize maybe talents you never thought you had, maybe, abilities and capacities you never thought you had. So I feel like for me, it definitely has been a blessing. I could say, yeah, it's definitely been a blessing for me.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting points you made. Like, especially you touched upon talents. Like, I remember, especially that first week of lockdown. I'd never seen so many cooks on social media. Somehow everybody turned into cooks. You'd go into Asda's, you go into supermarkets. There was no baking supplies, like baking supplies that were on the shelf. It was like, okay, I'm going to the supermarket get baking supplies. Suddenly they weren't there anymore. Flowers, there was no supply of flour. Everything was sold out. Like obviously, like you guys said as well. Like the first lockdown, I think the first lockdown as well was for me was for a blessing in disguise because I
Mm-hmm.
think my body was telling me to sort of slow down, and obviously
Mm-hmm.
due to work commitments, personal commitments, and commitments with all the things I'm involved in, my body, I didn't allow my body to sort of, I didn't give my body the rest it needed to, maybe on the weekends or
Mm-hmm.
anything, because then my working schedule is normally Monday to Fridays, and then weekends I'm involved in something else, and I think
Yeah.
the lockdown then enabled me to just my body to cool off and to shut down. And I think just that sort of piece in your body just to be able to reset. Because then when we see, like for example, a computer, when it gets loaded with things, it slows down and it just
Mm-hmm.
becomes more frustrating. So I think that's what
Mm-hmm.
happened to me. Like you guys say, yeah, I took it in both ways as well. Because in first, obviously, I think the main negative was the uncertainty. I didn't know what's going to happen. Like not being
Mm-hmm.
able to see my friends, like people I used to see every day, I won't see anymore. How's it impacting them? You can't be there for them physically. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the most positive aspect was the fact that I gave my time to shut down, and before lockdown, even I was when your body basically when your body is basically needs to shut down, you either start to feel burned out or you start to feel a bit run down. And I was feeling very, very run down. I was like ill, and I used like I was in bed for 3 days, and that allowed me to recuperate. I got enough sleep. I needed to drink enough water and stuff like that. So, obviously, speaking of that, the first lockdown, we all saw the effects. So the first lockdown, it was like, okay, we was in lockdown for 3 weeks, and after 3 weeks, people started easing out again. People started going out. People started daring to go out, and just like the supermarkets were filling up again. And obviously, the second lockdown, the first lockdown, it was the transition from winter to spring. So that means it was lighter during the day. So people, personally, for example, I took up a new hobby. I started cycling again. So in like the first lockdown, did you guys take up any new hobbies? Did you guys find anything new to do? Like you said before, you made a very valid point touching up on that again. You were saying like you finding new talents or finding gifts in yourselves that you maybe didn't know that you wasn't aware that you had. So for you, Dorcas, did you find anything new, or did you find a passion for something new?
I feel like, yeah, for me, it was definitely one of them ones where I do sing. I sing in a Frasa church, but it wasn't something anyone knew until I did it in church. But then, because we had so much time on our hands, I felt like with the platforms that we have today, like social media, for example, Instagram, I felt as though I got a sudden desire to begin singing on social media, and also I wanted to learn how to play new instruments as well. I wanted to learn how to play piano. So I haven't really started yet, but the desire was there, and I was looking at ways to learn how to play the piano and looking at other instruments that I may, enjoy playing. So that was something that really I had the desire to do. Yeah.
Over to you, Rabbi. So what did you find anything new to learn or anything as such?
For me, I just found it a lot of time in my hand. So I started doing a lot of reading. Do you know what I mean? So I started reading some books, starting going on a walk, just to refresh my mind, just to start thinking. So I started getting some business ideas. So that's what it for me was. I started to put things in my thought into practice. Do you know what I mean? So I started to put the things I had in mind, started to put into practice. So that's why for me it was called it just that you wake up in the morning, you're not in a rush. You
Yeah.
literally you got time to literally think to function like a human being because everything is so fast. So by the time you get back from work, you just go straight to bed. So it was time to read some book, get inspired, get motivated. So that's what it was really.
Right. Oh, interesting. Like that's so you took up on reading as well. Reading, Dorcas was in special instruments. I feel like a lot. I think instruments is something new because obviously maybe it was something you wanted to do, but you didn't have the desire, like you said, lockdown.
Yeah.
Maybe that lockdown, I think lockdown, then through lockdown, you was able to explore that idea. And with
Exactly.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
you were saying like you was going for walks and stuff like that. And yeah, like you said, like lockdown helped us in many ways because then it helped you develop the skills you already had. It gave you the time, like you said, Rabbi, like, because then normally before lockdown, you know what life is like. Life is like, all right, okay, I'm getting up at 6, 7 o'clock. I'm going out. And I probably don't get home till like 8 o'clock because of work. And by the time you're home,
Yeah.
you're absolutely tired. Sometimes you don't even have the energy to eat.
True.
And yeah, so let's go to the main bulk, the main topic, or the main subject of this. Obviously, mentally, because obviously now the good thing is in the last few years, mental health is something that is a topic that's sort of grown because before I think it was a bit brushed under the car. Like people struggling with mental health. Oh no, it's this, it's that, and that, and the other. And maybe, and as well, especially in the backgrounds where we come from, the topic of mental health does not exist. It's only in the past year where it's been exploited, and we've sort of been able to develop, and we've been able to get ideas from. See, people are slightly older than us. We've got a bit more life experience, and yourselves. Start with you, Rabbi. How was your mental health affected, or how because obviously we're still in lockdown. How is it affected? How is it affected? How is your mental health affected? Like, what your coping mechanism?
For me, the first one, I'm a person that I like moving all the time. I'm always on my feet, so I don't like being in one place at all. Like, it just like have to always be moving. So for me to be in one place and just wake up in the morning, I felt like life had no meaning. Do you know what I mean? So you go into bed, you know tomorrow is the same routine. You know,
Yeah.
Tuesday it's gonna be Tuesday. Saturday it feels like a Monday. So there was no routine. You go to bed, you wake up. It was just like that. So on that aspect, and not be able to go out to do things, it will drive me insane. Which I'm like, I feel like I'm in a box. You know, you wake up, same thing, same thing. But then I'm like, you have to be creative on your mind. You need to start thinking. You need to start thinking about certain things you can do because this is what it is. We have to accept it. We're in lockdown. We don't know when we're coming out, so you have to start to think about things you want to do. That's where you just got to start thinking about different ideas. So, and that's just that's what got me going. When you write things down, you set goals. It just keeps you very driven. You kind of forget the situation you're in at the moment. You
Yeah,
start to
definitely.
think about different things. So that just it gave me a bit of hope. Do you know what I mean? A bit of hope things gonna get better. But if I focused on the situation too much, it would have driven me insane completely.
What about you, Dorcas? How have you been impacted mentally by these
I
lockdowns?
Yeah, I feel like yeah, being in lockdown was very frustrating at times because like you mentioned before, missing your friends, missing your loved ones, unable to see them. I feel like Abby said, it's giving me time to plan as well. And I feel like what kept me going is planning on what I want to do once we're out of lockdown. Because once we're in lockdown, we haven't really got the facilities and the equipment that we need. But planning ahead and, not like Abby said, not focusing on the situation, but planning on what you want to do when we come out of lockdown. I feel like that's what kept me going and kept me focused on the goals that I want to do. For example, people that are doing businesses, they want to run a business, planning on what to do when we get out. Just things like that. That's what I felt kept me going and gave me hope. Yeah, so I feel like that
So
was how
thank you
it
for your
was for
input.
me.
Thank you for your answers. Yeah, like I mean, what you said, you touched upon excellent points. Having something to sort of look forward to, even though because there's still a lot of uncertainty. Personally, I was just like, I can't wait, because I really like one of my biggest passions is traveling, and for this year, I set myself to go traveling throughout the summer. But obviously, it was last year, sorry. But I never got around to doing so, obviously, because of lockdowns and being in and out of lockdown, which was quite hard. But then, yeah, but one thing lockdown sort of taught me is like even though you can't see your loved ones, but I think it was maybe in that retrospect, there's certain family members I sort of disconnected with, not because of like quarreling or issues as such. It's just because of obviously time and stuff. So I drifted apart. But I think through the lockdown as well, we was able to get a bit closer. Ideas were developed. Right, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. So yeah. On top of that, so the lockdown, obviously, once the lockdown measures were sort of, once restrictions were lessened, the restrictions were weren't as tight as they maybe was at the beginning in March. The restrictions, I think, the restrictions were loosened, and I think it was in May. In May, the restrictions were loosened. You could go outside people's gardens. For you, did you guys take advantage of that at all, or did you was like, no, I think I'm going to stay inside until the virus has been beaten, the virus has got rid of? Or what did you guys start doing once the restrictions were once the restrictions were a bit loosened? So I'll start with you, Rabbi. What did you start doing like in May once they loosened the restrictions?
When it came to May time, I still had nothing changed for me. I was still staying at home. You know, I was still doing everything as it was from the beginning. So I didn't change anything in that aspect. You know, I was just planning and planning and planning and planning. You know, so I was looking forward to it, that knowing, okay, things are easing off a bit. So it just gave me more peace of mind as we went along. So that's what it was.
Well, what about you? What about you, though? Because what did you start doing? Or were you one of them who was like, right, okay? Or would you say you were one of them like, right, lockdown doesn't apply to me. I'm bigger than the law. I'm gonna keep doing what I want. I want to carry on doing what I want. I don't really care. Were you one of them, or what would you say? What was your input? What's your views? What were you like?
If I'm completely honest, I was so happy about that. I was extremely happy that we were finally let out, and like, you know, the rules kind of lessened, and you know, I was really happy, and I feel like I took it to my own advantage, and I really enjoyed the fact that I was able to see my loved ones, my friends. So it did make a massive difference, because I feel like seeing them and being around them really brought me at peace and joy in my heart, because I knew I could see my family members without, you know. But yeah, I feel like I've really used that time to spend time with my family, and it made me appreciate my loved ones even more. Because, you know, when we don't see them, it's like, oh, now it's taken away from us. It's annoying. But when it's there, we can see them all the time. We don't really we take it for granted. So yeah, it really made me appreciate seeing my family and my loved ones even more. Yeah.
That's very important, because obviously, like, sometimes you think, oh, family members are like, they're annoying when they're with you, but then once they're not there, you start to miss them, sort of thing.
For real.
So so then obviously we talked about once the restrictions were loosened a bit, and then we get to the summer, approach the summer. So the summer, obviously us being in the UK, we had things like the eat out to help out scheme. Like we had out, like obviously, like you guys said, once the restrictions were a bit loosened, I stopped seeing family members. So I was going, but basically, us and my family, my extended family, not just my household, and the extended family, we created like a massive bubble. So we were just seeing each other, and then sort of come the end of May, we then took it a bit further. I started seeing my friends as well, so that was really good. Like for me, it was a relief, because I think in that point, the last time I saw my friends was January, like my closest friends. So it was like 4 months since I could see them. Started going on walks, started doing things. So then, fast forward, we started going on regular activities, walks and stuff. And then we got to July. I'll tell you what, personally, on the day they said gyms can reopen again, I was like, finally, that's all I've been wanting to do. That's all I've wanted. Obviously, Rabbi, I'm not even going to ask you, because I know what that meant to you. But for yourself, Dorcas, do you remember a gym, or do you attend the gym?
Yeah, I do go when I can, but I'm not always there. I'm not gonna be honest here. I don't go all the time, but yeah, occasionally, yeah.
But then in I think it was in June, but when they said things like such a shop can reopen and stuff, how did you personally feel? Did you take advantage of that? I think, oh, like shops have reopened again. Does that mean, like, did you use it to like go on shopping spree, do things as such, or?
Definitely. I feel like I said, I really took it to my own advantage because I just felt free at last. It's like you've been trapped in your room for so long, same routine, same environment, same faces. I feel like I needed to get out. I needed to see my friends. I needed to do this. I needed to do the things that I used to enjoy, because before it was taken away from me, I didn't have an option. I had to stay. But now they've given me an option. I definitely did take it, used it, went out as much as I could, saw my family members, saw my friends, and yeah, I definitely used that time to get to see my family and my loved ones once again.
So, what about you? What about you, Rabbi? What about you? How did you take advantage of it? Because obviously, with you running your own business, did that bring it closer to your goals in terms of opening new gyms and stuff? In June when things started opening again, did that bring you a step closer towards opening your gym and stuff? Or
I was just excited the fact that the gyms were open again, because one thing I learned, we don't appreciate the gym at all until it got taken away from us, because we all that, yeah, I'm going to the gym, but the moment you realize you're home, because the gym is it's a massive thing in our life, really, because we always do it every day. So suddenly they've taken that away from you.
Yeah.
And it's like home, not being able to go to the gym, because the gym gives you that stress free of mind, peace of mind. You feel like, you feel pumped up. So not having that for taking away for like 5 months, it just felt like no gym, there's no life. So literally just knowing that gym was gonna be open again, just that you get just the stress free of mind, because when you're in the gym, it just feels like it's your own time. Do you know what I mean? Just you time. So it was just like a massive thing for me, to be honest. I was just like, I can get to go to the gym again, really.
yeah. So then fast forward a couple of months later. So then we suddenly had we had to eat out to help out. Obviously, like you said, you all took advantage of it. You started like life became as normal again. And then fast forward, we go to November, and then out of nowhere, right, second lockdown. How, start with you, Rabbi. How did you feel about second lockdown? Because then it was like, right, everything's closing, like everything is shutting down again, so we're shutting life down again. How did you sort of feel? How did that impact you? Like, obviously, you only just open your business. I think your business only be open 3 weeks or 4 weeks. What did you sort of do? How did you feel? Like after all this, like sort of work, you progressing in the next minute, right? Lockdown again. How did you feel?
I kind of prepared for it mentally. I was ready for it, because I knew it was gonna be this for a long time. I knew it wasn't a short term fix. I knew it would be for a long time, so I was mentally prepared for it. So it didn't come as a shock to me, because I already knew it's gonna happen. So mentally, I was already up there. So it didn't really move me, because I was like, you know what, it was gonna expect to happen. So I already prepared my mind in advance. So I think it's very important just to be, just to have backup plans as you go along. Does it make sense? So because the first time we all got wiped away was like, whoa, we felt like the world is different. So I think when you adapt to the situation, you learn, to accept it is what it is. It could come again. Let me just be one step ahead mentally.
Yeah.
So that's what it was.
So what about you, Dorcas? How about you? What was like when they announced the second lockdown? How did you sort of feel, or what was it like for you? Was it a shock, or was it just like, I knew it was going to happen because the way the government had gone about it, or the way the nation's gone about it, it was just bound to happen? Or did you think, no, once we're out, we're sort of getting over this pandemic and we're steering out of it? So how did you sort of feel?
For me, I feel like it wasn't a shock. I don't think shock is the word, but for me, it was one of them ones where it was like, it was in the back of my head that this could happen again. We could go back into another lockdown. But like Abby said, the first lockdown was a shock to everyone because we never saw it coming. But obviously being used to that kind of routine and knowing that this is the life, it just became the new norm for me. Yeah, it became the new norm, because it was like, it's not going to change that quick. It takes time. And I felt like going back into lockdown, it was frustrating, but it wasn't a shock. It was something that I was expecting. And once we went back in it, it it did frustrate me a lot. It was just sort of like, oh, I have to go back to this routine. I have to go back to waking up, not being excited to anything, not knowing what's going to happen. I feel like that was what was stressing me out more, and that's what affected my mental health. Not knowing was what was causing me anger, what was causing me worries, what was causing me fear, the not knowing. But yeah, as the time went on, I just got used to the fact that we are in lockdown and this is the situation. And like Rabby said, just being one step ahead and knowing that, okay, now that we're in lockdown, what am I going to do now? But yeah, for me, it was frustrating, but just getting into the routine, it just, you know, it got better. It got better for me.
So it was a lockdown. But it was like, I don't even know. It was a lockdown, but then it was 4 weeks. And then on the 2nd of December, we were out again. It was like, okay, here, you can sort of do whatever you want. And then the whole of December was like, okay, you're back to doing whatever you want. And then, obviously, you can imagine we all took advantage of it. We all went into tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, or whatever and whatnot. And then it was like, right, okay. It was then the first week of January, we were back into lockdown. How did you feel that? Were you sort of like, well, how did you feel? Because then sometimes it's just like your mind is already ready for it, but then when something happens repetitively, don't you get fed up?
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel? Docs, I'll start with you this time. How did you feel for when they announced the 3rd lockdown?
It was frustrating. It was really like, it was upsetting at the same time, knowing that this is what we have to go through again. But it was just like an ongoing thing, and it was just really frustrating. It's like you're questioning, like, what do I do now? Been through the first one, been through the second one, now it's the 3rd one. What do I do now? What do I do now? And it's like you're running out. It's like you're running out of options, and they're taking that option away from you to do what you really want to do. And that for me was just getting really like upsetting. Like to be honest, I'll spend some.
She's been impacted by the lockdown.
Sorry, can you hear me, guys? Sorry about that. Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I got a phone call. But yeah, it was just frustrating, and it impacted me in ways that I never thought it would. Like, to be completely honest, sometimes I'll spend time in my room just thinking about it, getting a bit overwhelmed. But as the time went on, you just got to adapt and get used to it, because you haven't really got a choice. So it's just learning how to cope with it. That's what I had to do. Yeah.
Over to you, Rabby. How obviously you, as well as a business owner, it's like it's backwards and forwards. Like, right, okay, once you're out, you've got something going, and then it's like, right, now we're going back into lockdown. So how has it impacted you? How do you feel? That's all.
The 3rd one, I was a bit frustrated. I was like, oh my gosh, again. But for me and my mind, I prepared 2021 of December 2020. 2021, 2020. That's what my mindset was. So last year will be the same as this year. So I wasn't really that down, but I was a bit frustrated. I was like, gosh, can't really operate fine in the business. But I was just like, well, it is what it is. But mentally, I was just like, 2021, I thought it's the same as last year. There's going to be a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, obviously, with it being a lockdown, and you touched upon a bit of a routine, like, for example, you Dorcas, I imagine, are you working, are you studying, or?
No, I'm studying at the moment.
You're studying, so you're at uni, am I right to assume?
No,
so
college.
College, sorry, right, okay.
Last year, yeah.
Last year, so you've got, obviously, you're doing a lot of online learning, aren't you? Is it online learning over Microsoft Teams?
Online learning.
So, how do you feel about that? Like, is it sometimes you feel like maybe you're like the things you maybe need? Is it you feel like things that are better being explained in the classroom, and now you have to do it over online? How do you sort of feel about that? How do you cope with that?
Frustrating. I feel like the whole situation was frustrating, because when you're struggling with something, like the teacher is not there physically to help you, and another thing that I had to learn during lockdown is patience. Because not having someone there and not getting what I want at that current time was very hard for me. Because obviously in class, when you're struggling on something, or struggling on an assignment or essay or whatever the case is, the teacher's right there. but because she wasn't there, you had to email and then wait for them to respond. That was something that was frustrating. I feel like that was the most annoying part of it. But just, and like from that, I had to learn to be patient. I feel like that's what I got taught during this lockdown, to be patient, because everything wasn't just coming as quickly as I wanted it to. So yeah, it was frustrating, but like I said, just adapting to the situation and just trying to be as understanding as you can be about the situation going on. Yeah.
So how have you adapted it to your routine? So for example, obviously it's not a case of like get up at whatever time, get ready, take your time to get ready for college, and then going out, maybe going after college, grabbing something, maybe going out, getting something, maybe getting something to eat with your friends. How are you adapting to now? Basically, it's waking up, and then you maybe get ready, and then you have to you're facing maybe, I don't know, 3-4 hours in front of the screen, and then you turn your laptop, your computer, your phone off or whatever, and then you're sort of like, right, okay, you turn it off and you're still in your room. It's not, there's no change of scene. How are you coping with that? How are you sort of fitted that into your routine, your daily routine?
So I feel like for me, I had to find things that kept me at peace, because I felt like if I'm not at peace, I'll get very stressed and very frustrated very easily. So I feel like for me is just setting like a timetable for myself personally. So knowing that this went with this, and the time for this was the time for this. So like getting up in the morning, if I knew I had lesson, I might wake up earlier, pray, then start my lesson. Then after my lesson, I might go on a walk just to, get myself ready for the day. So I felt like I had to change a few things to put myself at peace, because me not being at peace brings stress, brings frustration, brings anger. So I feel like waking up, prayer, then do my class, and then go for a walk, because I found that very therapeutic. Or if not, read my book, and that for me helped me to cope mentally.
And over to you now, Rabby. Now, obviously, you as a business owner, you're in a different retrospect in comparison to God, because obviously she's studying. But now you as a business owner, as a business owner, you've got a lot of admin work to do. So do you drive into your personal office in the gym, or what do you do? How do you sort of like do the admin work, and how do you cope with the admin work, and how have you managed, or have you fitted it into your routine? Is it fitted well into your routine? What can you say about that?
I feel like it's about adapting to the situation we're in. So where you see a lot of trainers, they do it online. So I just feel you just have to adapt to based on the circumstance. And so as a business, you just have to be able to juggle it around. You know what I mean? You just have to, if this is what it is now, we have to go with the flow of what it is. So you just, still more work to do. Obviously, programs, nutrition diet plan, still on top of that, and also designing some home workouts. Do you know what I mean? So we're just working with what we've got at the moment, really based on the circumstance, because that's just what it is. But I would have a lot of students were saying, oh, it's the best time to be a student, in a fact that they don't have to go to uni or college. But here from our classmates saying, it's frustration that there's not a teacher to physically be there to help you, And when I hear that, I'm like, gosh, I was lucky at my time, because I got to physically be there in the presence, because instead of just being online, so it's a bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you what, like when I was at uni, and had this been my final year, I don't know how I would have coped or anything. Like, I was quite lucky. I graduated a number of years ago, so we was there. I had tutors out supporting me. I even have a special room for me at uni that I used to use every Tuesday to do my work. So moving over, so thank you guys for your input. They're very, very important, very vital. I hope you guys who are still watching, I hope you're still tuned in, and I hope you was able to take something in from my two experts. Over to the workshop. So obviously the word impact, so affecting. So for obviously having you guys, and maybe some people who are struggling with the impact or the effects on the effects of lockdown. Rabby, I will start with you. What can you advise people who are maybe struggling with the impact with the lockdowns, who don't see a way out? What can you advise people? That's all. Like, what's your point of view? Like, that's what the workshop's for, is to advise and to just enlighten people. What can you enlighten us about the impact of this lockdown?
I would say, embrace the moment, embrace the opportunity, because I just feel like we will never get this time again as we've had off. We won't ever get it again because soon we're back to work. People start to complain, I'm working too much, I'm tired. But you're getting like 4 weeks off, you're still getting paid from work. You have to remember that. Some people are working from home. Do you know what I mean? People working from home, they're still getting paid. So it's just like, will you ever get time to spend with your family that often? Would you ever get that time to see your family members? You know what I mean? So it's just
Yeah.
crucial that you get in that time to literally spend time with your family because life is just so quick where we don't even know what your brother's up to. Do you know what I mean? You don't care, but at the moment you get to see everyone. So and I feel like you just have to embrace the opportunity, and I think you have to be creative.
Yeah.
Because if you don't come out of this lockdown with something that you want to do for yourself, then you need to check yourself again. Because
Yep.
you don't always need to be next to people talking all the time. You need time to yourself. You need time to yourself to reflect, to literally say, where is my life going at the moment? Am I
Mm-hmm.
happy?
Mm-hmm.
What would I want to be in 5 years' time? What am I doing at this moment in time for me to achieve that goal? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because spending time with your friend all the time is not getting you anywhere. Do you know what I mean? We're spending time all the time, but it's not helping me to achieve my goal. But me sitting down, having a self-reflection to see what I'm actually doing towards those goals and what do I need to do to get there is very important. So all I'm about to say is you have to just be creative. Don't
Mm-hmm.
just sit down. I will say being bold is creative in your mindset. So you have to start thinking, what do I want to do? What can I do? Do you know what I mean? You have to start thinking, just create things. Then that's how the way you're gonna get forward with it. So you have to embrace the opportunity we've got now. It might seem like it's not an opportunity, but it's a blessing that you get to think about things you want to do. So that's all I can see it.
What advice can you give us? Like maybe obviously you as a student as well. What advice can you give to students who have maybe obviously financially struggling? What coping mechanisms or what advice can you give us students maybe who are struggling with lockdowns? Obviously, we've not had one lockdown, not had two, but we had three lockdowns.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one was bad enough. Never mind three. So obviously you found ways of coping, you found ways of adapting, and you found ways of getting the situation and evolving with it. What can you say or what can you advise us maybe people who are struggling with the with the lockdowns?
Yeah. For me, the only thing I can say, the only advice that I can give is that finding a routine that is best for you. And what I mean by that is trying to find things that bring you at peace, things that you find therapeutic. For example, going on walks or spending time with your loved ones at home or reading a book or looking at motivational speakers, like finding things that brings you at peace. If it means waking up in the morning, first thing you do is pray, then do that. If it means waking up in the morning, straight away go on a walk, then do that. If it means reading the Bible in the morning, go do that. If it means reading a book, whatever brings you at peace, find something that brings you at peace and stick to that routine in order for you to keep going. And touching on what Rabby said, using this time wisely. I feel like I saw a quote the other day, I think it was on Instagram, that said, my goal this year is not to mess with my potential. So try to discover the talents that you have, things that you never know you could do. Begin to put that into place. Begin to find ways to do so. Not thinking about, oh, let me get out, then I will do it. But the time is now, using this present time to find your hidden talents, to find what you're good at, find what you enjoy, find what you look for things that you find therapeutic for yourself. And I feel like it's all about self-growth as well during this lockdown. I feel like it's a lot about self-growth and just reflecting on your ways of living and how to be better once you're out. In terms of if, for example, you enjoy doing some specific thing, to continue doing it and how you can do it better and how you can grow. So just truly spending time with yourself, finding a routine to stick to and trying to find your hidden talents. I feel like for me, that is the advice I could give.
Thank you. So to catch up on that. So for example, the advice is obviously not to waste your potential. That's what you said. And obviously for you guys, anybody following us, watching us, to summarize, basically, don't feel like you're trapped. Use this time. It's not a condemnation, but it's like basically use this time wisely. If there's something that you enjoy doing, do it, carry on doing it. Like obviously if you're studying and you just can't adapt, try and adapt. Try and basically ease your way in, maybe speak to members of your class, your class comrades, get them involved, like just try video calls or anything. Like obviously like for me, obviously I work from home, so it's difficult as being in the office, because when I'm in the office, I'm like Rabby said earlier, I can't stay still. I normally fidget, walk about, do things. But now at home, it's basically you turn your laptop on, you're in bed, your dinner period, your lunch hour is downstairs, and you go back to your office, your bedroom. So basically, it's like you're enclosed in the same four walls. It's like being in jail. But try not think of it as being in jail, but use it to your advantage. Like Dorcas said, be with use the time you have with your loved ones, because once life goes back to normal, it's maybe like, oh, I'm too busy to do this, I'm too busy for that, and then it gets to a time where it's too late. I'm not forecasting anything, but easy. So use the time wisely. If you feel obviously trapped, please consult, speak to your loved ones, speak to the ones closest. And obviously there's cases, there's charities, there's people, there's the Samaritans always willing to talk, always there. Feel like you've got nowhere to go. But embrace the help we've got. It's not a shame, obviously, if you feel like you're struggling. It's not shameful. It's not embarrassing to speak out, because we'd rather people start speaking out than the statistics. Then you just be a statistic and say, such a person's done this, such a person's done that.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, 100%.
So please take this time. Don't let it get to you, because instead of letting the walls close in on you, because then that develops, that then begins, because if you just don't do anything, you just sit there and think, oh my god, it's frustrating. That frustration will then build into, then claustrophobia will start to kick in. And once you get to once you become claustrophobic, it develops into anxiety. Anxiety then develops into much more. Use this time, go for walks, watch films, even watch films. Do things that you find entertaining. If you have an instrument at home, pick it up, strum a guitar, play piano, use lessons, use your tablets to do things. So that was the summary. Obviously, my two experts was able to bring forward. So thank you for your input, guys. To close off, to finish off, is there anybody you would like? Is there anything you would like to add? Is there anything you'd like to say to finish off, or over to you guys? The ball is in your court now.
I would just say you just have to stay positive during this time, and literally don't spend too much time on social media, because it's not going to get anywhere. You want to literally make the time for yourself, for the things that are important in your life, for you tomorrow. Because social media, you can spend 5 hours there just scrolling and liking pictures. That's not beneficial. That 5 hours, if you invest that into reading, invest that into developing something on your hobby, it's going to be helpful for tomorrow. Scrolling and liking pictures isn't going to add any value into your life. So I would say, think positive, just keep focusing on your goals, self-reflection, be honest with yourself, and that's just the way forward.
Thank you very much. So to finish off again, big thank you to you guys who've taken out a chunk out of your day to be able to share with us and to share your own personal experience as well. So obviously lockdown has had a massive impact, especially on young people. It's affected everyone in one way or another.
Definitely.
But obviously, even if you didn't get the virus itself, but one way or another you were still impacted.
Definitely.
The faffing about, like sometimes getting into places, not having your mask and stuff. So things like that, sometimes they start to mount up, start to frustrate. But to finish off, but once again, thank you to you all guys. So on this note, before we say, just want to say goodbye, say big massive greeting once again to the Hand of Hope for giving us this platform to be able to share. So obviously, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe, like on Facebook, share, on just below, on the bar below, if you want to contact us, the number's there to contact us. Stay in touch. If you need help, obviously, look out for us, guys. We're always there. If obviously you want to ask us more questions, our inboxes are open. We're all there. Just look out for our names on social media. We're there. And big thanks once again to Pastor Nate, who's given us this platform to be able to share. And not just there, thanking also his spouse, his wife, Mauna Lee, wherever she is. And thank you to each and every one of you who's following us wherever you may be. Big thank you for taking time out of your day to follow us. So that's all from me from now. So have a good evening, enjoy the rest of your day, and bye. Thank you. Bye.
Hello, I'm inviting all women to La Mede de Squad TV every Saturday at 4 o'clock. Don't miss it, you'll be blessed.
Shalom, shalom, peuple de Dieu, tous les moments, je vous salue. Je vous invite le samedi à 16h juste à la Mede de Squad TV, Kolanda, magazine de femmes. Où est concerné toutes les femmes, jeunes filles, mamans.
Hi guys, I'm welcoming you to come to the magazine, The Fam, every day on Saturday at 4 o'clock. You will be blessed. Welcome.
Hi guys, I'm welcoming you to magazine The Fam, where you're going to learn so many new things about women. You're going to give women a platform, a voice. It's going to be so wonderful on La Mede. Wow, please come every Saturday at 4 o'clock. Thank you guys.
Un rapport sexuel qui est bien fait, le souvenir se satisfait.
Dans autre chose. La société veut faire perdre les repères à la jeune fille. Mais Dieu veut prendre cette jeune fille